Today truly is a hard story to recount. What started accidentally and innocently enough was, according to so many, an event that could have been and probably should have been prevented from ever happening at all. Hi, I'm Chris May, writer, producer, and host of This Day in Weather History, now in its second year from the Weather Network in Canada. Pacific Gas and Electric put $5.5 billion in cash into a trust for victims of wildfires caused by the utilities equipment. On the 26th, it exploded into what was determined to have been a fire tornado. This day in weather history. California is no stranger to fires. They are actually as much a part of life there as earthquakes are. Yet people continue to build more and build bigger on these precariously and prone pieces of land. My brother lives there. He lives in the East Bay. And when I visited him in the fall of 2019, they were literally removing all the trees that were within a proximity of potentially falling over onto the power lines that dot the thousands and thousands and thousands of miles of interweaving roads and highways. Well, I thought, whoa, what the heck is all this about? Welcome to year 2 of this podcast. Right now, you're listening to the full version of today's story on your favorite podcast provider. But there's also the daily podcast video short. They're shot right here in my podcast recording studio, so you get that perspective. And oftentimes, they will include visuals from that day's event from when it happened in weather history. So after listening to the full story, go check out the podcast video short on television or online anytime at theweathernetwork.com/weather history. Fire tornadoes. Well, they sound like something from a sci-fi flick, right? Wrong. They are real. Too real. Intense wildfires almost always produce fire devils and or fire whirls, and very occasionally stronger vortexes that resemble the tornadoes produced by severe thunderstorms. But the Carr Fire disaster was unprecedented in terms of its size and ferocity. This led to extreme hazard and control problems. July 23rd. The Carr Fire was first reported in the afternoon at the intersection of Highway 299 and Carr Powerhouse Road in Shasta County, California, near French Gulch. The fire was later determined to have been started accidentally by a vehicle towing a dual-axle travel trailer. One of the tires on the trailer blew out, causing the steel rim to scrape along the pavement, generating sparks that ignited the dry vegetation along the edge of the highway. Wind then caused the fire to spread quickly. July 25th. Very quickly, this fire grew to 8,100 hectares, or 20,000 acres in total. By the evening of July 26th, the fire had burned close to 30,000 acres, or 11,640 hectares, and was still only 10% contained, already having destroyed 15 buildings and damaging another 5. It was still a threat to almost 500 other buildings. Then it happened. Still on July 26th, this day in weather history, a powerful tornado of pure fire and fury with winds estimated in excess of 143 miles per hour or 230 kilometers per hour. Again, the equivalent of an EF3 tornado developed within the Carr Fire in Redding, California. It remained on the ground for a full hour. The actual Fire-NADO reached an estimated height of 18,000 feet or 5,500 meters and was something out of a nightmare. A tornado made of fire that caused extensive tornado-like damage while spreading the fire everywhere it touched. The winds toppled transmission towers, shredded foliage, while uprooting and debarking trees. Portions of the western area of Redding were put under mandatory evacuation orders when the fire jumped the Sacramento River. As soon as that happened, the power to residents in North Redding was shut off immediately by the Redding Electric Utility to avoid what would later happen in November. And that, of course, is another story. With that, a state of emergency was declared by then-Governor Jerry Brown. The Carr Fire destroyed an estimated 1,604 buildings. Of that, close to 1,100 were homes. It became what is now the 7th most destructive fire in California history, as well as one of the largest wildfires ever recorded in modern California history. This day in weather history. Tomorrow is July 27th. You ever done something, really crazy on a bet? Come on, we all have it sometime in our lives. But if you're a pilot, there's bets, risks, and then, like we're going to talk about tomorrow, there's just plain insanity and foolishness. Unless, of course, it changes the course of storm prediction forever. That's tomorrow, July 27th, this day in weather history, with me, your host, Chris May.